You know how some people just have crazy feel for the game? It almost seems natural. They always make the right decision. They always know where their teammates, the defenders are. Josh Giddey is clearly one of those people. He's super young to be in the league doing these type of things, and it's impressive to watch. So I'm going to break down how he sees the floor and a little bit into how you can develop this as well. Also, before we get into the video, I want to mention that I'm going to be out in Australia this month doing camps in 4 cities. Make sure to check that out through the link in the description. First off, Giddey is a clear definition of someone who sees the game 2 steps ahead. But what does that actually mean? We hear it a lot, but there's a lot more to it than just magically knowing where players are going. Well, this play versus the Spurs is a great definition. Giddey's clearly waiting for his teammate to free up because he knows exactly what's going to happen when he sets his little flip screen and gets that slip available. It's a pattern in the game. The key word here is pattern. So he's paying attention to these patterns, and many times he knows players are going to be open before they're even open. So again, seeing the game 2 steps ahead to me is understanding patterns in the game and being able to see them beginning to develop. Then, of course, taking action and delivering an on-target dime. So even on the catch, he's clearly searching for teammates before he catches the ball, which makes that 0-second decision once he does catch the ball that much easier.
Off to Giddey.
But at the same time, he balances this with patience. So this can be patience in reading the defense. Without holding it too long, he makes sure that he's able to watch that play develop, even if this means holding off the defender, moving at a slower pace, because he knows that sometimes these patterns take a little bit to develop. And this is also patience on the delivery. He doesn't make that pass as soon as he sees it. Sometimes defenders predict that, they can deflect it, they can run in and intercept it. So notice how his deliveries are extremely patient, sometimes even slow, so that he's able to deliver the most in-control dime. And because he's so in control here, he's also able to adjust last second on passes. So maybe he sees another teammate last second, or he sees that gap closes. He's never moving at too high of a speed, where it's irreversible and not possible for him to adjust.
Long rebound, back to Giddey, drops it off.
And something that helps him here is that he has a ton of different release point options on passes. Yes, we're taught the fundamental chest pass, bounce pass, overhead pass. Let's be real. If you want to be an actual floor general at a high level, these one-hand passes, sidearm dimes, and much more have to be accurate options for you as well, as you can see with Giddey. Another thing to think about is that he's always creating closeout situations for defenders. So situations where he delivers the ball to a teammate, that defender has to close out. Now that teammate can attack, and especially at the NBA level, these are easy assists. But many times this includes cross-court passes, since those defenders are deeper in help position, and thus further from their man, and have to close out more. But obviously these passes have to be lasers. Not just so they're not picked off, but also because they gotta move significantly faster than a defender closing out, or else by the time the teammate catches it, the defense is already there. There is no closeout. And sometimes here, especially as he's driving and collapsing defenders, it's a really simple pass. So it's actually the opposite of patience in a way here. If he waits too long to make this simple pass, he's too deep in the defense, it's a tougher angle, etc. So making this pass early as soon as that defender steps in is now the key. Easy passes get assists too, trust me. Just another example of different situations having different keys or solutions. Another thing I want to point out is that it's much easier to search for defenders who are out of position than open teammates, at least at times. Because obviously you got to do both, but having to scan the entire floor here can be overwhelming. Versus just saying, hey, this defender is obviously collapsed super far to the paint, that means his man is probably open, and then finding that man to deliver the pass. But I do think training to see things out of our peripheral vision is key. Looking up and scanning the floor, especially while moving at higher speeds and tight spaces, is a bit overrated to me. As humans, when we're in a situation like this, we actually stare down at the ground or at an anchor point and use our peripheral vision to pick up the situation. So for example, as Giddey's driving here, he's not quote-unquote scanning the floor actively with his eyes. He seems to be more focused on one spot or an anchor point. And again, this is to see the open man out of his peripheral. So this peripheral vision is what I'd say is actually the biggest key to finding teammates, and it's actually something we can train for. This is a story for a different video, but it's also proven that the more relaxed we are, the better we can see and act from our peripheral vision. So it makes sense considering that how relaxed and composed he plays, he's able to see all this. He's also really good at making crazy close passes, which is tough sometimes. We're used to making passes that are at least 10 to 15. We're used to making passes that are at least 10 to 12 feet in distance, or 2 to 4 meters from my Aussies. But there will be times where Giddey is maybe coming off a screen, gets into the teeth of the defense, and ends up a couple feet away from a player who's cutting to the basket. Now, most players here would say, why would I pass to him if we're right next to each other? Why wouldn't I just score myself? Well, most times this teammate has better momentum to the basket, and they'll have their dribble still alive if they need it. So being able to see and control these passes to make this easy for that teammate is big time. And overall, I'd guess that Giddey has a ton of playing experience. All these things aren't really things that you'd think about on the court most times, although at first you can try to see these things and eventually make them second nature. But for him, it's clearly all become automatic. And the best way to train these things are to notice them and then go play. Let yourself make mistakes, make bad passes here and there, train different situations and workouts, 1-on-2s, pick and roll reads with defenders, and more. And that's a lot of what we work on not only in Miami at my gym, but also when I travel to do camps internationally. As always, let me know what you think and go get to work. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at ByAnyMeansBasketball for a lot more.